close to 10,000 beds permitted just in Williams County. That is a lot of people in temporary housing, spread all over. You know, it's not all just man camps right next to Williston. These man camps, some of them are 6 miles off of a highway down a township road. I mean, that type of development, those are the types of things that we recognize, and as a county, they've recognized that that can't continue. You can't maintain those roads, you can't maintain that infrastructure, the support services, those types of things needs to be dealt with. So Williams County has put a moratorium on any new man camps. They actually just extended it indefinitely. Because they said 10,000 beds, not all of those beds have even been built yet. And if you allow for that temporary housing, what we've seen is people go there, they don't invest into your permanent housing type structures. You know, when it comes to the permanent housing, we deal with that. We look at our housing prices in Williston. That's one of the biggest things, as Brett said. We've had well over 1,000 people leave our community. It's not because of the busyness. Some people, it's that. But it's the cost of housing. We see companies come in and they buy up an apartment building. And Grandma and Grandpa were living there. They had the waitress from the restaurant was living there with her son, those types of things. And all of a sudden, that rent goes from $650 a month for a one-bedroom apartment to $2,500 a month. You know, in North Dakota, we do not have rent control laws. I'm not familiar with Montana. I am assuming Montana is very similar because we're kind of cut from the same cloth when it comes to how these states were founded in the political backgrounds of them. But we don't have those types of controls in place, so what do we do? And that's what we spend a lot of time on. What do we do to try to get affordable housing? Do you create more density? Well, every new apartment building, before it's even finished, has been completely leased out. So as you're looking at this, and this is where it comes down to working with the developers, as Brett said, making sure you control where that development's going to happen is a big key of that. But what that development is going to look like and what is that mix going to look like? You know, you need to look back. Williston, we got hit with the growth so hard. Some of our zoning ordinances haven't even been looked at for 15, 20 years. Development within communities and the way that developers work is so different today than it was 20 years ago. Before this stuff comes, you want to make sure, and you know what? It's going to cost money. Everything costs money in today's world. But work with the state, work with different agencies, work together, county, city, those types of things. Hire a consultant to look at that and say, what do we have in place to protect us so that we don't have a man camp all of a sudden 2 miles out by Macon, you wind up with 1,200 beds out there because your zoning doesn't prevent that from happening. It can just happen. You know, what do you have for zoning within the city limits so that all of a sudden someone doesn't have an empty lot and they've packed in 15 RVs and they're renting those out for $1,000 a month for someone to live in an RV. So now all of a sudden I've got 15 RVs on a lot. Where's their water coming from? Where is their sewer going to? Where's their garbage going? All of those are the types of impacts that we are trying to deal with. You know, that's the bad side of it. The good, there is a lot of good in this development, but I know that the bad always sells better, and the reality is you can learn from the lessons that we have experienced. You know, we've done a lot of good things with our developers. We've worked on programs for affordable housing. It's just, when does that finally come online? We're working on projects to bring in more affordable housing, doing mixed-use type of development where they build a 36-plex and they're going to reserve 10% of their units as affordable housing, and then our housing authority can manage those units so that you have a mix. You know, we are working on those types of things, but those are the things to be thinking about ahead of time versus all of a sudden every apartment in Wolf Point is bought up and they raise the rents so much that people are forced out of them. You know, those are kind of the points. You know, your infrastructure is the other one. Brent said our infrastructure gets hammered, whether it's water, sewer. You better make sure you know what your capacities are and what you can handle from a development standpoint, so that you can, if you need to, you say, you know what, we are putting a moratorium on annexations and new developments because we don't have the capacity for this from a sewer standpoint or from a water treatment standpoint. Figure out where those capacities are. If you don't have them, I strongly encourage getting a master plan done that you can then take and figure out where the funding is going to come from and how we phase this in so that we can meet those capacity needs. Those are all things that we have done. We were fortunate that we actually had started our master plans for land use, for zoning. We started those back in 2006, so they were completed. So as a city, we've been able to control at least some of the development from a zoning standpoint, where we don't wind up with an oil field shop right next to where the elementary school is, because it was raw land before and now it's available for development. Well, our zoning and our master plan said, no, we're not going to change that type of zoning to that. So those are some tips that I'd have for you from a community standpoint. And then again, just work together. And the other thing is work with the other communities, not just Wolf Point and the Roosevelt County Commission, but Poplar, Culbertson, even Richland County, Macomb County. Work with the oil and gas producing counties associations so that you can get your story told to the state legislature and to the federal level. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Brent. And again, Brent will be available if you have some questions specific to Williston and what's happening there. And now we'll call on Stoney Anketel to talk about what's going on in the tribal oil and gas arena, as well as others.
Thank you, Puffy. Greetings, everybody. Thank you for coming out. I want to express my gratitude to Brett and Brent for traveling great distances to be here and sharing their pearls of wisdom with us. We learned from experience, and that's what they have provided with us this evening, and thank you. Forrest, thank you very much for helping on this PowerPoint presentation. We put a little PowerPoint presentation together because picture's worth 1,000 words, in my opinion. So Lynn Becker helped a lot on this. Are you here, Lynn? Okay, thank you very much. And I'd like to also acknowledge our tribal chairman, Floyd Azure. If you just get... There you are, Floyd. Great chairman. We're having a wonderful time. We're having this is the best council I ever remember being on, and it's because we all want to work together. We want what's best for all of us, everyone on the reservation, and I think you'll see that in what we've been managing to put together. So I guess I'll start with I got to thank the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for putting this on, Chamber, and Western Bank. This is really quite a gathering. Good job. Thank you much. Great. Okay. All right. I think we can get past that. This is a tribal perspective on how we see the development on the reservation. I'll be providing an overview of tribal activities and in the region. I'll be dealing a little bit with the formation of the Fort Peck Energy Company. Also what's been going on around us so we can start getting ready for it in Montana, in North Dakota, and Saskatchewan. The Northeast Montana leasing and exploration activity. I think that's important to look at. What the Fort Peck Reservation plans on doing. We've already drilled a couple Bakken wells, have fracked one, and ready to frack another. We're proving up the Bakken on this reservation. The Fort Peck tribes are. With our strategic partnerships, but at the heart and soul of all this development that we're doing is a tribal executive board and the Floyd Azure administration. This next bullet, forward-looking, is just an overview, I guess, and what we expect down the line. All right. As you can see, the Fort Peck Assiniboine and Sioux logo, the Fort Peck Energy Company logo. We are in a very good relationship. The Fort Peck Energy Company, a brief history. In June 2008, the tribes meet to discuss how to develop their energy resources. In March 2009, The tribes partner with Native American resource partners to form Fort Peck Energy Company, owned 50% by the tribes. And our partner, NARP, are capital providers. So we are doing this in a very similar way that any major oil company or large independent oil company would go forward. We have a relationship with an energy capital provider in Houston, Texas, called Quantum. And we are going forward in a way very similar to any oil and gas company. So in 2009, 2010, we attempted to purchase existing production on the reservation. We got outbid. Simple as that. We tried, didn't work. But in April 2010, we began leasing in the southeast corner of the reservation. This is important because, as you will see in future maps, that's where it's like armies marching towards the reservation. They're marching towards the southeast corner, well, the whole east side of the reservation, really. But we feel that has the most potential. All right. So, in 2011 of last year, in June, Fort Peck Energy Company signs a joint venture with Samson Oil and Gas, USA, Montana, Inc., covering 90,000 acres. In November 2011, the Australia 2 horizontal Bakken test well is spud near Fort Kitt. In January 12th, the Gretel 2 horizontal Bakken test well is spud near Brockton. And this is the CEO of Samson Oil and Gas, USA, Montana, is a sailing enthusiast. He loves to sail. He's from Australia. And so these first two wells were named after some very famous yachts in, I don't even know what, America's Cup, that kind of thing. Australia did well. I don't really follow it too closely. But bottom line, it's not in the name. And I said, well, no, I was kidding around one day. I said, well, if the dry holes will keep them Gretel and Australia too. Their producers will get an Indian name. Okay. All right, so we look at the regional picture. Okay, this is what's happening right now. I'm gonna, as this slide shows, last year in 2011, North Dakota drilled 1,299 Bakken or Three Forks oil wells. Now, Montana drilled 69, and in Saskatchewan 597. So that's quite a discrepancy, but we'll try to change that. The number of drilling rigs as of January 2012. We have 12 of them in Montana, and in North Dakota, 185. This seems low, but I mean, you know, for 14 years I worked as an oil and gas leasing realty specialist, and I'm used to 1 or 2 rigs in Montana, so it's all in perspective. 12 seems like a pretty good number. I'm sure it will increase tremendously this year. Daily oil production as of December 2011 in Montana, 32,805 barrels per day. North Dakota, 469,758. Didn't they jump? The state jumped to
number 3.
Number 3 now in the nation from number 4. Yeah. Good for them. Okay. Now this is a really good slide. I think these dark black marks on this map are wells that were drilled in